Okay, let me gather my thoughts a little bit on this. So today's video is going to be this one. So let me gather my thoughts for a second. Yes, but why? But why? Okay, so there's a lady on YouTube called Kismet Spiral, is the YouTube channel. And she has a video called Organic Portals, Gaslighting and the Collective Guilt Program. And it took me like 6 months to actually listen to this video finally. And so finally I've listened to the video and I'm ready to, because I knew I would make a video, so I'm ready now to make my video. Because I thought, well, I've got to listen to what's out there on guilt, you know. Because I see this collective guilt programming, and when I see her title, or when I saw her title of the video, the collective guilt program, I thought, oh, okay, here we go. Someone else has seen it and gotten it. So what's interesting about this is that, you know, I haven't seen it anywhere else, but yeah, the guilt programming is definitely part of gaslighting. I'm not saying there's no other videos on there. This is just the only video that I saw to do with organic portals and the guilt program. So good video, Kismet. I can't disagree. I don't want to disagree with anything you're saying in your video. Pretty much agree with everything she said. And you know, guys, that I don't just agree with people because you've seen my past videos on other channels. And yes, I will review Quartz Crystal channel as well. Just be patient. Because in order to review her, I have to go over all of her videos, which I have not done. I've only watched like 3 of her videos and was like, oh my god. So yeah, we're going to go there, we're going to talk about it, even though I was like, oh my god, you know, like I just said that, you know, in a sort of annoyed eye roll fashion about some of the things she does, like holds her little pendulum up. She does say some pretty gnarly things, so we're going to go there. Anyway, let's get to this video. Alright, so you can see my points there on Benjamin Kallenberg from consciousazine.net. Let's start here. Religion. Don't even know if I spelt it properly. One of those days. Having them one of those days. Let me focus for a second just to... I'm a bit scattered at the moment. I need to meditate. Okay, so she mentions... We're talking about now Kismet Spiral and the guilt program video and all this, the gaslighting and organic portals. So she mentions religion, you know, is mentioned, and how God, you know, in the Bible seems like a bit of a psychopath. You know, he's an over-vengeful God, really. Seems like a bit of a man to me, you know, like how it was edited by men, this Bible. Yeah. To me, that seems like an obvious thing, you know, that it's edited by men, so you may be reading the mind of the ego of a king or something instead of a divine channel from, you know, some person like a Moses type fella or a Jesus or a Benjamin Kallenberg type fella. So you're pretty much reading an edited book, just like every other book ever written, you know, so calm down on it, you know, settle down with this Bible thing. I'm not a Bible basher, but, you know, I think you can see what I'm saying. So religion was mentioned, and she's like saying how, you know, God looks like a psychopath, and she mentions the Job story and stuff, and yeah, I agree, and I don't really want to get into that because I think that's fairly obvious, and I'm not saying God is a psychopath, because I think the light of consciousness itself is what people are calling God. I don't even think it's as shallow as Nassim Haramein puts an GOD as an acronym, Grammaton of Division. It's a reasonable way to look at it, and it takes you towards fifth dimensional non-duality. perspective, but it's not like the highest perspective. It's like a fifth, sixth dimensional perspective where, you know, if you're talking about grammaton of division, you know, it's like getting into sixth dimensional geometry and fifth dimensional non-duality. So anyway, let's move on, because I don't really want to discuss that part so much, but I just wanted to lay mention to it, because, you know, society is full of religious people, right? Like, I know in America it's hectic. What do I mean by hectic? Well, you don't see a million people gathered in front of my stage, you know, or anyone, you know, sort of truth movement people don't have big crowds. And I saw a picture of this massive religious event, and it's in consciousazine, the website, somewhere. I'm sure I would have put that picture on one of the pages, but it's basically, I don't know, it looks like bigger than a huge concert, you know what I mean? So we all know that religion is, you know, throughout society, you know, it's rigmarolled through society, it's thick with it, right? Our culture, the Western Occidental culture, is thick with, you know, religion of Christianity, right? I'm not talking Muslim, just mean Christianity here. We don't even have to talk about the nuttish nuts ideas of Islam. Let's not go there. Some of those ideas are just stupid. I'm not saying the whole thing is stupid, but again, edited by men. So, collective guilt program, let's get into the core of this. Yeah, it's for human nature. That's right. Like, it's this is one of my notes. It's collective guilt program for your nature, for human way of being. You shouldn't do this. You should do that. Don't do this. You don't do that. Well, who the hell said so? You know, to quote Die Word Ninja. I like that song where he goes, "You don't do this, don't do that." Well, who does? You know. Anyway. So many layers to this psyop, she said, and I said to myself, yeah, it is like a psyop, and that's what I wanted to talk about more. But before we do, we're going to fast forward here to a comment I made under a video. Waiting for the event, because she said something about that. The event is like the economic reset event. It could be an asteroid, it could be, you know, a Mr. Robot hack that takes down stuff, it could be EMP attacks. Just some sort of event that really crucially takes down like a whole nation and like the whole world's economy is basically what the event is. And it's got to do with economic reset and all this stuff. So I said, yeah, could be an asteroid, you know, and so people are waiting for their own possible destruction. You know, not doing anything, sort of sitting around waiting for the event. Because there is a collective suicide program too, I said. Okay, so that's another important note though. A bit of a side note, but yeah, just like we're talking about collective guilt program, seems to me a collective suicide program underway too, and it's definitely dark side orchestrated, not really connected to Agenda 21, but they're concurrent. They're currents that are parallel and possibly, well, not possibly, basically created by the same, I don't want to say people, but dark side. So anyway, I want to get to the core of this now. The collective guilt programming. So yeah, she made some good points of it, and one of the points was, you know, helping people. And I did say in a video, how do you know if you're a self soul or the group soul? And the group soul is part of the energy extraction portion of the matrix, right? And they're all service to self people. And the way I always say it, you hear me say it in my videos, is, you know, they basically serve their ego instead of being the flow for the light of the universe, of evolution to flow through them and service to other people. They're STO because they're closed down, selfish, shellfish. The ego's like a shell. Anyway, so that is a point, you in society, you know, there's the guilt trip. You have to help out because you're part of a social structure, and you know, it kind of makes sense, right? The more, what's that saying? Many hands make for light work. You know, the more hands you have helping, the easier it can be. So that's all well and good and cool, but yeah, I do see what she's saying as well, though, that it's part of the guilt program, and especially in the New Age movement, that you have to give away your services for free. No. And that's on the front of consciousazine. You'll see me like reply to some woman who said that to me. You should be giving it away for free, your service. Yes and no. We live in a monetary system, and if I'm to give it away for free, like, is natural, yes, that's the natural way, and it kind of should be like that. But the thing is, it's so difficult these days to do that because everything costs so much, with inflation always rising. You know, everything costs more and more and more. And, you know, so this makes it very difficult to do that. So I think it's still fair enough to be STO and ask for energy return, because then it's fair energy exchange. Then nobody's getting ripped off, you see. So I disagree with that whole thing that you should give away your services for free, only because we're within the money system, I guess. But yeah, there is this whole guilt thing, and it is tied to those type of programmed people's minds, you know, that type of programming, where they think you should give it all away for free, and that definitely some of those people are organic portals or demon portals or negative souled humans, because they are part of the energy extraction part of the matrix, that portion. So, you know, there were some good points made by her, and now I want to get really to me and how I've been thinking about this for about the last decade, 10 years. So when I saw her video, I was like, oh, you know, it was like a damn, she got there first, and also a good on you, I'm glad someone mentioned it. So I've been seeing this for 10 years, you know, since 2008 or something, because I felt it on the nape, N-A-P-E, the nape of the neck, and that's actually when you do the Kundalini mantras for the middle nervous system, the ganglion. That's your middle nervous system, not the efferent and not the CNS, central nervous system, or your spine. So the ganglion, you know, you mantra to get basically stuck looping thoughts off there. And that's what they do to you. They want you looped. If they can loop your coding, because when I was at university, I studied programming in my business degree. I did 18 subjects or 16 subjects on computer programming, information technology style stuff. And you know, in that I learnt about all this stuff, you know, and a loop is a certain code construct. And you can make an infinite loop, actually, and that's what they would like you to become. A sort of senseless infinite loop where you don't enter new novel thought. So basically you keep looping the same thoughts, and hence you don't spiritually grow. You don't grow, right? You don't enter new information. In other words, you don't enlighten. You don't enter enlightenment. You don't enlighten, right? Because we're talking about the higher light again, you know, consciousness is the light of God, and that's the light I'm always talking about, these higher lights, the subtle, higher dimensional lights. And so they want you looping on, you know, these low vibrational thoughts. So yes, there's a collective guilt program, and I put here, but why? And here's the answer. Because they want you in low vibration, because that keeps you here in low vibration world of, you know, slowed down cosmic light, or frozen cosmic architecture, or physicality, physical stuff. That's what it is. And they want you basically trapped down in your body to become like them, because the organic portals are, remember, people who are only their body, There's no higher insides, higher self and all this. Okay, to continue, sorry my recording cuts out at 15 minutes, the screencast. So yeah, I've noticed for a long time, 10 years or so, that because I started getting the feeling of the lower vibration on my neck, nape of neck. And I've noticed, so for all this time, 10 years or something, sorry I'm speaking really badly today and my words are just jumbled, I apologise. So yeah, I have for 10 years been noticing this, and what I want to say is that, like I already said, basically they want you guilty to lower your vibration, which lowers you into body. You become more like them, more of this world. You get caught in the reincarnation cycle. Bang! More food for them, right? The archons, etc. So, what else do I have to say on this? Because she did not say how to heal this or anything, and she didn't really go into it as deep as I'm trying to go into it now. So there is a meditation called, it's actually on Google Tech Talks. I think that's the YouTube channel name from Google. And there's a meditation called How to Heal Psychosomatic Disorders with Meditation, where Dr. Villy, I think her name is, Villy Doctor, Dr. Villy Doctor, I'm pretty sure that's her name, goes into the Google Tech Talks, and she shows you a Kundalini technique to clear the middle nervous system, or the ganglii. And to clear the ganglii, you actually mantra, and it helps to clear them. And also you pass like higher energies through your hands, and she'll show you that in the video. I do have that in my 4 best meditations video. That's one of my favorite meditations because it's so thorough, and it's not just like some, I don't want to say gay, but some mediocre guided meditation. I don't even barely watch guided meditations. So sorry if I offended you, but it's just me, and I'm allowed to be me, hey? I don't do it, not saying you don't have to, or you can't, but I don't watch a lot of those type of meditations. So anyway, moving right along, because that is not really a big point. So the point is, you can heal this, but the point they're trying to... God, I'm not good with my words today, hey? The thing that... Because there's people just turned up at the camping and distracting me too, by the way. In the background here, you probably can't hear them. Anyway, trying to focus. So, yes, there's a collective guilt program, and besides what I've already mentioned, making you guilty makes you more apathetic or indifferent, less creative. How so? Benjamin Kallenberg from consciousazine.net. Well, because you go into pain, and pain is like a paralysis state. So more positive charge and looping thoughts equals pain. You don't sleep as well. More pain from not sleeping as well, and you get into this, pain cycle, which they want you to be in, remember, because your loosh, or loose energy, your pain energy, your heightened hormonal content, all of that good stuff is their food. So, I mean, the Archon's food, and, these, let's call them evil interdimensional beings, the reptilians, the Archons, and all this business. So, this is part of the energy extraction portion of the surface virus and the matrix. So, when you go into pain, that's one way already they've lowered your vibration, they've made you apathetic and indifferent, and that'll stifle your creative mind and your creation ability. It's a type of paralysis, just like when you're depressed. When you're depressed, you kind of sit around more, right? You're not as up and go and create something. So there's those reasons. Why else would they want you to feel a guilt? Yeah, like she said, so many layers to this psyop. But I think I really mentioned a big point there, paralysis of apathy. Right? I think that's a huge point there. So this all ties in, religion is mind control for the masses. It's, it's not union with the divine at all. It isn't yoga or yogic practices, not just asanas either. But, it all ties in. It's all about mind control. See, they're trying to control your mind, make you indifferent, less creative, blah, 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 more paralyzed. You're then easy to control. So control is another reason. There's 3 major reasons why they run a guilt program. Now, I want you to realize something else though. On your neck, to do with Kundalini, which is 4th dimensional energy, and hence it's not going to clear you multi-dimensionally fully. You would have to go all the way to Prana, 10th dimensional. I do explain how the energies are different dimensional. By the way, you never heard this before, Organite is 3rd dimensional, Scalia, 3rd dimensional relative energy, or you could say container. 3rd dimension is like a zonal reality or container, and Organite makes it so that you can accept the higher energies and you have lower static in the way. Mana is 2nd dimensional, and it can also help that nature energy associated with like volcanic rocks and stuff, but it's really just the nature energy of 2D nature, mana, and it can also help you clear the static field and positrons or positronization or ionization, that is with positive charge. And that's why I always go on about grounding and earthing, because you get negative charge. In other words, you decharge. You're not charged up, bro. When you're charged up and angry, well, that's positive charge. That's all positive charge as well. Sorry, I was squashing a spider on my screen. Now I look like a bad guy because I'm squashing nature while talking about nature. And I'm going to feel guilty about squashing the spider. But you know why I'm not guilty of anything I've ever done, and neither are you? Because if you're a soul, and you're a soul human vector, specifically, and not a negative souled human of atrophy or entropical field, so you're now more than soul potential because you're a vector. Say you're a vector human like me. God is coming through you, like the light of consciousness is coming through you. You are creating via consciousness. Now, I may not be creating a little handheld something, a thing made out of stuff object or a relic, but many things can be created from my thoughts that I give to you all, from my consciousness, do you understand? From the conscious perspective I'm passing, and from the higher dimensional channels that come through me of, a higher way to view something. And, basically, if you're a vector-souled human like me, you are a vector of the universe. You're a chosen vector. I don't want to say, oh, I'm the chosen one. No, I'm one of them, though. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that I'm a vector, and if you're like me and you're a vector, then, not only do they want to slow you down by making you guilty, but why you're not guilty is what I'm trying to tell you now, is because it's God coming through you. So if I just squashed a spider on my screen, well, maybe that was ego related and related to the surface virus. Now, should I be guilty for that? No, because everything is God's creation, even the surface virus then, isn't it? So, do you understand what I'm saying? You're actually not guilty of anything. And when you do these mantras in the Kundalini fashion for the ganglii on your neck, I think there's 12 times you've got to say that I'm not guilty. There's different amounts of nervous system ganglii associated with each major 7 chakra system, or each chakra. And so for the throat chakra, we're going on the nape of the neck here, or the nape of the neck, and we're saying right on the side, exactly on the side, saying Mother Kundalini, or Mother, I am not guilty, and you pass energy, and it definitely helps it and clears it. Now, the thing is, after doing this meditation, and this is one of the first meditations I started doing like a decade ago, I actually developed this meditation moreovered it, more so'd it myself. I added on to it because I'm very sensitive and I can feel, all these subtle energies and what's going on in my body and all that. So what happened was I realized that actually there's more there than just on the nape of the neck. There's more mantras to do than even Villy Doctor explains in her lecture. And I'm not sure if they even know of these, but around the very back, this is actually how you start. It's Mother, I'm not responsible. So you go right to the back of your neck, as far around as you can kind of reach. And she says you always got to hold across a vertebrae if you listen to the video very carefully. And so yeah, that definitely helps. I feel that. And this is massively great for reducing inflammation, pain, thoughts, and all this. So I found out that actually there's more than just I'm not guilty mantra there. It starts with Mother, I'm not responsible. See, again, they're trying to make you guilty and feel responsible when really it's only God coming through you, so to speak. Do you understand my previous example of vectorization? Well, hey, if the universe is, God's body, well, that means the mind of God or God itself is, coming through it, and it has to use someone as an agent. Do you see what I'm saying? There has to be an agent of light, not just agents of evil, organic portals and demons everywhere. You see? So there's always an agents of light, and what I'm saying is all the vectors sold humans like myself, we're agents of and for the light, yeah? And so, in other words, we're not responsible or guilty for anything we do. Nobody is, though. Not organic portals or anything, because it's all God's creation. So it's either you take the view that, oh, okay, only some parts are, and then you can take the view, I guess, of, this is Satan's universe, some people say. Like, lower dimensionally, I think they mean. In the third dimension, in the physical, I think what they mean is that. They're trying to say that all physicality is like Satan's universe, and this does show something to me in my third eye, and I have to do a video on Lucifer soon. It's come to me that I have to do that, and it's like a thicker light, which is always a mimicry light, which goes with organic portals, how they mimic, and organic portals are like said to be Satan's army and stuff, and I don't disagree at all. But yeah, it's like this light of Lucifer is like a thicker light, denser, and non-informational, only mimicking. And like a fake light, like a light used only to create like an illusion to trick people and stuff. Whereas the light of God is like a informational package, like a download, where you really get something. So I'll talk about that more in another video, but I guess you could take that view, but then you have to take the view of, Satan didn't create God. God obviously created Satan and Lucifer. So in the end, still, you see, still you get to the end state, and shamans like me are good at seeing the end state. And the end state appears to be that everything is of God, yeah? It's all of God's creation. It. It's not a he, but it is, the sole creator. It's the S-O-L-E, the only creator, so to speak, or the penultimate creator, the head honcho. So then, therefore, you're not guilty, actually. So anyway, let's get out of that and get back to this thing I was talking about, the healing, because I got 1 minute left. So I found out, actually, for the mantra of the neck, here's the best way, right at the back. And here's what it is. Mother, I'm not responsible, and then you move slightly around, say, I don't know, 3/4, like you're not quite at the side of your neck. Now you're not quite exactly at the back. You're on that angle, 45 degrees out the back. God, I'm stuffing this up. It goes like this. You just go from the back of your neck to the front. You go whether I'm not responsible, then it's I'm not involved, in their bullshit or in anyone else's thoughts of you. Okay, well, with the nape of the neck thing, I think I'm just going to show you guys. So we'll switch scenes in a second. You'll see me sitting on the grass telling you. But first, let's talk more about this, because let's get to the more asymptotic, deep end of this, the deep end of the pool here. In the end, it is energy extraction matrix in a universe where energy is always passed along. If you look into science, how they even say that energy is never lost. It's it just what do they say? I forgot their saying, but it's like they say in science, energy is never lost. It just gets transferred or something like that, is their saying. And it's true, but if you think about what's going on in the world, what we have is stuck energy in the 1% elite. They represent, energy that's stuck. Money is energy. And I keep saying, if we want to change the world and have the actual, better world we all know we can have, which is the resonance of a golden age, because this is a procession here through historical epochs and creodes. Creodes are time completion cycles. We're in eschatonalization mode in maximum novelty at the end of history now. Do you get what I'm saying? Probably not. Some people might not. Okay, so I'll expand that, because that was a bit of a hard hit. You might have to rewind the tape. So there's an eschatonalization process. You can see a video below here where I'm going to talk about it. In other words, I like a quote from Terence McKenna. This is what happens when a culture goes to the stars. This is what happens when a culture goes to the stars. A culture, any culture. Get it? He found via his time wave that there's a procession to history. It was like a process. Epochs, and creode means like a cycle of completion. And it said we're now at the end. We're eschatonalized. You either did or you didn't. That was what people were referring to as ascension and, divine union, basically, and or being saved. Yep, saved in the universal game, like a high score player. Not exactly like that, but yeah, saved in the universe, like Jesus said. I'm not religious, but that dude probably did live, because he sounds like he made a lot of fuss. That's the only reason I think Jesus did live, because he created a whole lot of fuss. I don't think it was a fictional character. Anyway, he was definitely an early indigo, and rebellious more than the Bible tells even, I think. Anyway, so, there's a process, and eschatonalization is what I mean by the process of coming to the end of history, wherein you I don't want to say you learned all the lessons, but to some degree, yes. It's like it's like going to high school or something, or like a segment. It could be like primary school or high school, or a higher education degree like a bachelor degree, or then the honours segment on the bachelor degree, just a segment. Right, and eschatonalization is like that, segmented time. You learned certain things, and if you passed, you generally remember somewhat of what you learned, 30% of what you learned. Alright, Anyway, so we're at the end of history now, and how does this relate? I totally forgot why I went into this now. Humans. What are they talking about? Religion, how to heal the nape of the neck. Totally forgot why I went into eschatonalization. 1 second. Should come back to me. What were we talking about again? Why I had to mention eschatonalization. Damn. Can't be bothered stopping the tape and replaying it and to listen. For some reason I was talking about eschatonalization. Gaslighting. Well, I guess that's a point, even if I didn't finish whatever point I was trying to make. It's part of gaslighting to stop you eschatonalizing anyway. So there's an important point anyway. It's another way that they're, guilt program, but remember you could do it for all the things along the nape of the neck. So I'm saying for the involvement, mother, I'm not involved, and first you say, mother, I'm not responsible. So for the responsibility, the involvement, they want you to be involved. It's a no alternatives, the only system that exists. There's that. It's the no alternatives, the system. There's no alternative. Have you tried going off grid? It's pretty difficult. How many plants do you know how to eat? And how many plants do you know that are even edible? So it's pretty hard to go off grid, and really, really thrive. Sure, we can, partially do it with technologies, and you had to sort of work for the system in the first place to get the money to build a little tiny house, to have your little complex tiny house and put a YouTube video up and say you're off grid now. But I don't know if that's really truly off grid. But there's a lot of shenanigans going on around these days. No, I'm not dissing the tiny house movement. It's a good movement. But there'll be organic portals in every movement. Remember, organic portals stuff up spirited movements. So how could they be stuffing up the tiny house movement, to be completely irrelevant for a second? Well, an organic portal will come into that movement, and then they're just doing it for, say, part of Agenda 21. There's an instance that could come up in the code. Why? Because they're doing it for Agenda 21, that elite plan to cull the population according to those Georgia Guidestones there. What's it say? 500 million people, 500 million people, I think, is what the elites supposedly want to cull Earth's human population down to be in more harmony with the environment, basically. And so that we don't gobble up the resources. Do you see how stupid their mindset is? They want to make you guilty, like, oh, you're using all the resources of Earth, except they're the ones that created the scarcity system in the first place. It's fucking ridiculous, mate, as we say in Australia. They're fucking dreaming, and not in the right way. It's a hallucination. Like Terence McKenna said, culture is some kind of mass hallucination. I think that's what's going on. They're tripping. Like the bad kind, They're having a bad trip over there. So, they want to make you feel guilty about, contributing, paying taxes in an abundant universe. And when you're eschatonalized, you realize this. It's a basic realization of enlightenment, that you're in a universe with lots of other planets. That's the enlightenment, and that those planets are also rocky, some of them. For instance, there's a whole planet made out of apparently girls' best friends, or what the organic portal programs want you to think is a girl's best friend, the diamond. Planet Lucy is a whole planet of diamond. So, we're in an abundant universe, so there's no scarcity system to be had. We just have to work together more to go further. We have to work together more to go further. It's that simple. Everyone's like, oh, well, and then people say stuff against, coexist stickers and that. I'm not one to have, like, stickers on my car like that. That was, like, when I was a teenager. But something in that, to coexist. There is something in that, because it's coincidentia oppositorum's embedded in that. And that's eschatonalization, which means there's, something about it. Like, I mean, something neutral, that it's like, God's will, it's going to be there. It's not something to fight, and it's not something bad. But anyway, so, there's a guilt programming that you have to pay taxes in a scarcity-based world because it costs money to do this, costs money to do that. Sure, and that money represents, the people's energy, doesn't it? You all contribute tax. That represents you contributing some of your time, your molecular biological aging, your bodily function movement or kilojoules. You're contributing your energy, and then you get money, and so money represents the energy. And then you give some of that back over to them again, because you already worked for it, and then you give it in taxes. So it's a pretty interesting system, and they've just got these taxes rigmarolled. Absolutely rigmarolled, right? There's no getting out of that net web if you want to be, part of society, So it's pretty interesting that, like, they try and put that guilt trip on you, like, and that's so, they can keep extracting your energy. That's a real bad trick. That's like the biggest lie in the world. Actually, I should put that excerpt on the end of this video. I'll put it there. And that's from Riser, Game of Gold Ring, Enlightenment and Abundance. And I find that series pretty interesting. And I'm not fanatic about anything. It's just when I see great works, I cover them, like, completely. Like, I'll cover someone, if I find someone like a Rupert Sheldrake or a Terence McKenna or whatever, I'll cover, like, their work pretty completely. And that's what we should be doing at the end of history, because everybody else didn't get saved, and they didn't matter. That's what I said say now on the front, the first thing you see in consciousazine on the front page. And that girl was saying to me, no, that's ego to want to, live after your death. No, it means you're now a vector of the universe, a hyperspatial line, not an ego dot who did nothing and contributed nothing really to the universe, and only contributed their ego energy to the system because they were living an ego life, service to self and their bloodline, sucking energy from the planetary bolos, or plant body, the plant body of Earth, basically, is where all the energy is being sucked, and out of the ground, the minerals, and into their little bloodline. And that's an ego life, by the way. That's just living for your neurotic nuclear family model. Do you understand what neurosis is? Because that's a line from Terence McKenna, that neurotic nuclear family. That's where I first heard that, and I went, neurotic nuclear family. I never heard that before. What a funny idea. This man has some funny ideas. And I thought, well, that's a good funny idea, though. Because I get it, because neurosis is where, like, I see neurosis in people's brains as shaman when I look at people energetically, as like a thinking inside the box, a shutting down of dendritical action and mobility of dendritical action, and neurological withering, like, how they say, the same effect I see as mercury on the neurons. It just withers them, withering, like a plant's leaves. They wither away. Anyway, that's neurosis to me. I don't know what the scientific definition is, but that's my definition, what I just told you. And I think Terence McKenna had a pretty similar idea because of how he said that. Like a box model, a neurotic nuclear family. Well, what could he mean? Why is it so neurotic? Well, because we're one family of humanity, of humans. It's like the true way to see everyone as your brother and sister, And that's what he was really saying, that the nuclear family model of, you know, wife, husband, kids, is a neurotic model, not necessarily by its nature, its structural nature, but the way people use it. It's become very neurotic model because you're sucking energy into just that bloodline. And then there is... Sorry, I got cut off again. I was halfway through a sentence. I was saying, I'm sure that, you know, basically that nuclear family model is neurotic because it just sucks from humanity energy into it, like a little box, right? Like a savings box. But that's why, and we know where this ends. Again, I'm telling you the end state and seeing the answer, the thrill that kills the seeking, but it is the answer. That's why we have the Rothschilds, because that represents stuck energy, those elite families, and that's why I think that's a really good way to see it as a neurotic nuclear family model, because if that system continues, it's the same thing. It sucks up to a pinpoint or a pinnacle, and that pinnacle is probably, I guess, those Rothschild families. I think they're the richest, I'm not sure, but apparently. So we see where that ends, you know, and so you just got to look at every program where it ends. You know, I'm not talking about means to ends or anything like this, just so you can see where it will end in a matter of time. You don't know how long maybe, but at some point it's going to end in a certain state, right? And that's the state I'm talking about. Like, its stuck energy state is the state, the end state of the system of the neurotic nuclear family model as a model of approaching reality. It's just one model, but it's also got to be discussed because it's pretty relevant and pertinent to the time too. Because now's the time when we have, you know, communication between the entire species and not just, you know, in fifth dimensional fashion naturally in imagination land, but really physically with the internet. It's fully manifest, you know. It's folded, unfolded completely. Sorry, not folded, but unfolded completely. It's fully manifest, fully physical, you know, and physicality is the forefront of existence, you know, of anything, of intangible and tangible. So, because, you know, and we know that also because the process of creation is down dimensional, from the infinite timeless domain down into the limited third dimensional zonal reality. So anyway, let's get back on track. So how is this all part of the gaslighting, the guilt programming, or anything like that? Well, because if you're, say, the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers or something like this, are you going to fight to protect the current matrix system? Yep, probably. Or are you gonna, you know, try and destroy it or change it or anything like that? Probably not. Because you're in, you know, what you might call a high position of power or whatever. So, you know, that's how it relates, because they're all part of it. It's not like they're not part of it. And then that's without going into the conspiratorial ends of, you know, they're reptilians. You know, that's without going there. So, just, I mean, on the level even, they're part of it. So, you know, this collective guilt program is that you remember the organic portal is a surface being. There is no divine flow or cosmic insight. There's no Wu-Ji force in the upper Danjen crystal room, or, you know, that Eye of Horus diagram, or otherwise known as the limbic brain, the pineal scintillations onto the projector screen of the septum pellucidum in the midbrain is like your visions, you know, fully manifest. And then, you know, you put it into your higher cortical folds, and then it works its way through to the front of your brain to your very daily ego identity sort of life, and that's when you're fully integrated your psychedelic vision or something, you know. But yeah, so the guilt programming, you know, shuts down all of this. So anything I pretty much say in this video is relevant, even if you don't think it is, because the guilt programming shuts this down. I feel this. That's why I did the meditation for so long, and I still do it. Just not as much as I used to. And it was one of the first meditations I got into. The Kundalini meditation I've mentioned, with the mantras for the middle nervous system ganglion, and to clear them, and the guilt programming. And actually at the back of the neck, remember, it's responsibility, involvement, then it goes to guilt on the side. I'm not guilty, and then I say I'm not frustrated at the front. So it's I'm not responsible, I'm not involved, I'm not guilty, and I'm not frustrated. And then by the time you've got your hand on the front of your neck, basically holding your throat, but slightly to the left or slightly to the right, depending which you're doing, Pingala or Ida, you know, masculine or feminine channel on either side of the Sushumna, or your spine basically, but I'm talking energetic channels. And so when we clear this, you know, you feel, you know, your thalamus start pumping, your thymus, your, I don't know, you move the energy up through the chakras and all the glands activate, and your pineal scintillations, your third eye is activating. And the pineal is not the third eye. The third eye is a chakric system, and it's really where the stream comes. It's a stream, actually. But so the guilt programming there, say you have looping thoughts on that ganglion on the side of your neck, the guilt ganglion, or one of those, then that shuts down what's above there. Definitely what's above there, and it also creates a dissonant feedback for the lower chakras anyway, because it's a block there. It's like a wall. It's like if you don't have enough energy to go through the wall, you're going to bounce back off it, right? Say for a car crash test or something. Is a good idea for a visual. Same with the energy traveling up through your chakras. You hit that chakric wall, and you know those glands are not active, and the energy's not pulsing through, for instance, your third eye or your crown chakra. And you know that's another way this guilt programming affects you, you know, and it brings you lower. Just not just, oh, it lowers your vibration. It's very pragmatic consequences, like I've just told you, of physiologically shutting you down. And that's why I have another video. I'll eventually get to it. It's way down in the list that you're looking at the screen, but it's not even on the screen. The video, Viscera Vendetta, because that's relative to what I was saying about the shutting down of physiology, your physical body. So, and that does, because thoughts, and that's why you mantra, because thoughts affect and create physical stuff, literally, not in some weird way. It's just your lack of understanding how that actually occurs, if you don't believe it. I think that's woo-woo or something. It's definitely not woo-woo. And so this guilt program is, yeah, many layers to this psyop, as the lady said, that Kismet lady. Definitely got to agree. And so I just wanted to inform you of some of those layers, because there is many layers. The conspiracy itself is mind-boggling. I'm a philosopher, and I've spent 10 years digging into all of this stuff. That's why I'm now creating organic portal videos, because it's interesting. I was doing videos on psychedelics. That was part of digging into all this. You know, psychic stuff and psychedelics almost sounds the same. You're gonna do it if you're serious. Like McKenna said, psychology without psychedelics is like pissing in the wind. Yeah, you can do it. You'll relieve yourself a little with that psychological, you know, quack stuff, but if you're serious, you'll get on the psychedelics. If you're serious. Anyway. So it's interesting because this does tie in, this God psychopath thing that she mentioned, to the collective guilt program, because it's like the God of the Bible is like always making you guilty, making you responsible, making you this and that. Now there's something in that. It is a coming to consciousness too, and part of coming to consciousness, but what we're talking about here is the corrupted files. Yeah, I'm always just discussing the corrupted files because that's where the healing is needed, and I'm a healer, so I'm going to discuss the corrupted files of the Matrix. And so that is a corrupted file, and that's what I was saying earlier. The Bible is edited, it's corrupted. It isn't God directly speaking to you anymore. You know, maybe it was to some person back there. Maybe they channeled it bloody perfectly. But it was edited. You know, there was like 10 versions of King James or whatever. I don't know. I've heard a lot. Sounds really edited. Probably why I drew little dicks in the indoctrination class in year 5 at primary school. Yeah, they get you young. I drew dicks in the book. You know, I'm meant to be reading some passage, and I'm like, oh, what is it? I just instantly knew as soon as I was past the book and told to read it, and started reading it, and like, whoa, what is this? Like, this is laying it on thick, guys. You know. This is no hiding, you're trying to brainwash me, you know? So, anyway, I'm definitely not religious. And I think that's why, because even at 10 years old, I saw through the bullshit of the mind control parts and the edited parts, and just, you know, from gnosis, from knowing myself and feeling the universe, it didn't feel right. You know, half of the stuff being said, or, you know, like this vengeful, wrathful, crazy-ass God, you know. And I definitely think it's anthropomorphized in some sense as well. I mean, I guess it has to be channeled through a human, but you know what I mean? Over anthropomorphized. Yes, gaslighting. I did want to make a video just on gaslighting. Yeah, I'm still gonna. I will make a video just on gaslighting because I was just thinking about, you know, it's got a whole gamut of its own. There's a whole array to be spoken of. So there's lots to speak of there. There's a whole array, new sets of arrays. Alright, so gaslighting. How do they gaslight? I just want to think of a few funny examples. How you're being gaslit, you know, culturally in society. Well, that's why I was laughing. How are we being gaslit? Well, gaslighting is, yeah, really the process of trying to make you feel like you're insane or something, like you're not right. It's to compromise you. Now, I always talk about that compromised mind that Don Juan mentions in that Carlos Castaneda readings. I always talk about that now because it's a very interesting concept. I only just came across those readings, you know, a few years ago. I didn't have that terminology. I knew it though. I could see because it's obvious. It's compromised. You know, it's always off the full state. It's always compromised thinking, and that's, you know, what I've talked about is part of the surface virus. I think it's part of the virus portion, or the problematic part of the corrupted files of the Matrix, or something like this, of the surface virus, something like this, right? So, you know, the gaslighting is definitely being done on a collective level as well, and it's definitely, you know, conjoined. And gaslighting, they're trying to make you, you know, feel like you can't even do it by yourself, but then they don't even teach you the 250 plant families. It's not that many. It's not 2,500, is it? It's not even 250,000. It's only 250? Oh, it sounds like you could learn it. Instead, what are they teaching at school? Some of it is a bit crap. I don't know, like, we could probably squeeze in an extra year, or an extra subject at least. Better than just horticulture. Those horticulture programs, at least from when I used to go to school, were not quite what I'm talking about, you know. Right, had a break. Gaslighting. How you gaslit by society. Whew. Million ways from Sunday is the answer. So, one major way you're gaslit by society is that if you don't contribute to the no alternative psycho system, psycho much? No alternatives, do as I say, I am God, my will over your will. That's what they have set up. Then if you don't want to be part of my psycho system, there's something wrong with you. Because everybody else wants to be part of it, because we've got about 1 billion NPCs, non-player characters that aren't even real. This thing's a fucking illusory joke for sure. Alright, I never doubt that. And whenever I entertain simulation theory in a fashion other than obvious, and not just, you know, theory like Gaia hypothesis. What hypothesis? It's just is. It's obvious. Same thing goes though with the obviation. So yeah, that's what they have set up. Anyway, let's get back on track. That's what they have set up. Do you realise that? Their will over your will. No alternatives. Don't you dare leave my system, me and my army of Satan NPC organic portal bastards all around me. Huh? Bitches of the Matrix, stooges of the Matrix, people of perdition, etc. Surrounding us on the righteous path, eh? So they gaslight you for being righteous, you know? Even like the best well-known righteous people you can think of. I don't know, coloured people, whoever you're thinking of. You're probably thinking of, who I was thinking of there, what's his name? Malcolm, no, what was it? The guy that had a dream. Remember the guy that had the dream? The black dude that had a dream. Was it Malcolm X? Or have I got the wrong name? No, what was his name? That's not his name, was it? The dude that said, I have a dream. That fella. You know, even people like that. So, you know, so the gaslighting is just an ever-running, always program in the no alternatives system. The system. Well, do you see how it's the? What other system is there, you know? So, I mean, that's okay. We can, if we could do it properly, it could be okay. You know, you could all work together. What you would do is plant plants, then start, you know, building solar panels, and, you know, we could all do this stage by stage. Like you dig a hole in the ground, then you rub, you know, then you go get the anthill, smash the anthill, and put it up in the hole, and then you've got yourself like a leak-proof pool, like all these primitive technology channels. There's a process to going to space, like Terence McKenna's quote I mentioned earlier. To repeat, this is what happens when a culture goes to the stars. So I'm just tying this all together, eschatonalization, remember? And really, there's a process to that where, you know, we would collectively, like, community gardens, for instance, that's a really good idea, you know, if we'd done it properly, if everyone would just realise. But then you have this herd of organic portals, and see, that's why I make so many organic portal videos. It's like a big missing piece. If you don't have the organic portal viewpoint, or understanding that of the theme of organic portals in, life, the game of life, reality, whatever you want to call this. It's like you have a big missing piece, of this NPC non-player character piece missing. Well, can you imagine playing Call of Duty or some video game and the whole background, all the background people are missing? Well, your understanding of them being background people in itself, if that's missing, then it's like you have the equivalent of the NPC in Call of Duty, the game, missing. You have everyone missing, and it's like you walking around the game by yourself. And what happens is, this is like a great way to get you lost and off path. Now, have you noticed with gang stalking, demonic stalking, spiritual stalking, that, it's interesting what happens. They are going off their way to block your way. That's very interesting energy dynamic, because you're like forfeiting your life to someone else's life in a way. Like, I always laugh at them and say on my videos, I think I said in one gang stalking video, ha ha ha, I think it's funny they are wasting their life on my life. But then even further, what I just mentioned, like the blocking effect, they are going off their way to block your way. It's pretty interesting. And that's definitely gaslighting, is that. That it's trying to stop someone along their way, by making them think that they're insane or there's like stuff wrong with them that may not be wrong with them, and until they get, gaslit into basically believing that that thing is wrong with them. And that's what gaslighting basically is. Like the attempt by someone else to make you like actually believe some insanity, or something really wrong with you in some way, that kind of end of psychology. And I think that is being done generally, even in the largest sort of facet I mentioned, by saying you can't do anything by yourself. You have to be part of this system. You have to be. And it's kind of gaslighting already from base one, that you are not the infinite spirit. Like, they have a third dimensional mindset. The organic portal is only the third dimensional, second dimensional hard edge body, and just the pinnacle body. Remember, the whole theory of organic portals is there is no inside, no higher self. The upper chakras aren't turning. The Makala isn't visible or working. Doesn't take them anywhere. There is no astral travel. Blah blah blah. No third eye. No real intuition, gnosis, etc. No alchemical mind. They're just like the anthropoid monkey body. And they have a third, and that's relative to like the ego. The ego is the steward of the body, the physical body. The id, or maybe what Freud called the superego, I guess. I don't know, because I haven't read his stuff, but it sounds like it. If he only gives you two, ego and superego, sounds like ego and then id. Id is, from Buddhism, the id, id. And I always say in the id go indigos. And then the organic portal are the outgoes, or just the surface. And that's why they're part of the surface virus, you see? Because all that inside stuff is missing. All that like universal cosmic casuistry is missing. It's not there. I also say that maybe I think it's a case of their starlight hasn't reached them, that body, or something like that. Or maybe that is just, or maybe another way to see that is, or maybe it's not even that case, that it's a case of they are like just like an agent of, darkness. And darkness, defined is like devoid of the light spectrum, right, of information, basically. So it's devoid of information, basically, because light is information. So Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, so that's all tied in because they are the third dimensional perspective. You know, that's the ego perspective, and so that's tied into gaslighting you, and that's why I made a video called organic portals and lower contextualization. They context everything lower. I mean, like, he's just this, he only does that. They see a snapshot of your life, and you know, they think, well, that's what that person is. But me, like a souled, concrescent, aware, awoke human, I know not to really judge that glibly. You know, it's a very glib judgment that they have, and it's very ego-based judgment, third dimensional judgment. Oh, look what he's wearing. I couldn't care less, really. Sometimes it's kind of eye-catching and fantastic, yeah, but you don't have to really comment like that, you know, on what someone else is wearing. Who cares? But you know, they're the people that really look at you for wearing like stuff that isn't new, you know, not new shoes. Yeah, I'm gonna call you all out. You're looking at me, oh, they're not new shoes. You're all organic portals. Dislike the video all you want, but it's out there now. I'm lucky. I just reprogrammed the mass mind. It's out there now. It's a meme. Make that a meme, someone. We got it out there. We got it out there. Anyway, so gaslighting. Organic portals like are really fond of this because another video I made was something titled organic portal, like bitchmen of the matrix put you down. It's the only way to lift their sorry ass up. And that's gaslighting is very relevant to that video and that video title that I made, because you know that's what they do. It's like a pushing down, a lower contextualization of you, and then they bring that back to the group and put that on. Well, that's what they insert in the group. That's the malignant code that these bastard organic portals, you know, insert into Hive Mind, and then you get the old Hive Mind stare everywhere you go. And you're like, am I being gang stalked? Answer, yes. So many layers to this psyop. And so I thought I'd make this a long video and just keep talking about it so you can see it. Because I thought, well, what's the point of just, you know, just mentioning this one? This is a good one to really, you know, connect and uncover and apocalypse their ass, right? Because it's the apocalypse, and apocalypse, the word in Greek, means to uncover, is one meaning of it, to apocalypse. So this is the apocalypse, and I have the kind of system busting indigo energy when I'm doing that, and also that's Maitreya Christ energy, the wrecking of the old malignancy. Yeah, that's Maitreya Christ energy. And you know, so Christ has returned through many people like me. I'm one of them, but there's others because it's a scalia, not scalar, even though yeah, it's scalar. I just say scalier. I spell it wrong. Oh no. Maybe I'm trying to say something different. Anyway, so it's scalia, Christic like energy, to be an earth Christ, because you noticed many guys grew the long hair and long beard around 2012 because they were undergoing Christing like myself. And this is different to the Buddhic or Buddha energy. There's the Buddha and then there's the Christ energies, and you know, the Christ is currently Maitreya Christ. So, and some people see that as like a devil Christ, but we're not devil Christ, we're just wrecking the old crap. It's just crap. If you would let us create the new and empower us, like for instance donating your energy to me instead of the Rothschilds, then we could actually create the new world in full abundance, enlightenment and freedom. And if you think, you know, organic portals don't deserve freedom, Ben, well, somewhat they're just placeholders for the robots, by the way. Placeholders. Where is it? like that. You know, when you fill out a form and you got to write the word there, placeholder. They're just placeholders for the robots. I've mentioned that in another video. And yeah, no, I've only got 30 seconds, so I can't really mention another example of gaslighting. But I think you should end this video, and after this video ends in 10 seconds, you should be thinking about other ways, so Benjamin doesn't have to tell you, and you can think for yourself, other ways that you're being gaslit by organic portals or just society. So I just wanted to end the video by saying, in my experience, it appears to me like the organic portals almost need you to be guilty for them to, you know, stay in power, to stay on top, and so on. But in my experience, moreover, they want you to be guilty. You know, they want you to be trapped or go to jail, or, you know what I mean? They want you down and out. And anybody who's gang stalked understands this and will probably agree with me pretty quickly. Because it's one of the main facets of it. They're trying to look for something to make you guilty of. And so it's a programming. They're trying to make you guilty. They're looking for ways to make you guilty, and it's programming. So I just wanted to get that across, you know. And yeah, I just really wanted to end on that note, that in my experience it seems that they want you to be guilty of something, and they want to, you know, it's fantastic if you can be, you know, gotten rid of, you know what I mean, as a problem for the Matrix, as a souled human, a complexity knot. You create many problems for the organic portal Matrix, and it's like as if they really want you to be guilty and are always trying to make you guilty, and not just feel guilty, like trying to, you know, make you a criminal as well, or of some sort of crime or something. And of course we know they even frame people. consciousazine.com Chronicle.